going to talk about the cluster B personality styles and their associated personality disorders. These ones are the assertive styles, so they tend to be more about approaching or involving other people. There tends to be a highly social element, whereas the cluster A disorders or styles tend to be more about avoiding or withdrawing or putting distance between oneself and other people. These are the opposite of that in a variety of ways, and I'll look at those in the specific styles. There's going to be a video for each of the styles that I'll talk about that, but in general they tend to be about bringing people in, involving people. And the problem for that at work sometimes is when you have conflict or difficulty, and bringing more people into the mix in a counterproductive or antisocial way can make it really problematic or difficult. It can create challenges when people are being manipulative or overdramatic or trying to bring other people in to feed their own ego instead of for the kind of productive pro-social activities you could have at work. They tend to have that in common, and those similarities in that they involve other people and they're about working with other people, sometimes in counterproductive ways. So there's 5 total styles that I'm going to be talking about, 4 of which are in the book. Those 4 are the aggressive style, which is related to antisocial or psychopathic personality disorder. So that's a lack of empathy, a lack of conscience. In subclinical populations or in the personality styles, there's probably still some ethical core there. It's not complete psychopathy, but sometimes it's a little bit of fudging of ethics or kind of trouble with those kind of ethics relating to empathy and other people. There's the dramatic personality style, which is the kind of exciting performer of a person who likes to be the center of attention, likes to attract attention, and likes the focus to be on them. And that can be quite productive when you need someone who's quite, showy, who can attract attention, who's great at entertaining clients or keeping people's interest. That can be really useful in some of those type roles, but it can be counterproductive when people are deliberately taking attention, even though it's counterproductive or not useful in the work. There's the confident personality style, which is related to narcissistic personality disorder. So, confidence is one that I've talked a lot about in previous videos and in discussions with other people, because it's one of those that it's about getting the sweet spot, right? So it's good to be confident. It's good to have a realistic evaluation of your own abilities and skills and to be able to tell people about them, right? Low confidence, a lack of self-confidence can be a problem, but excessive self-confidence can be narcissism. So understanding where that balance is and how to get it right is a part of understanding that confident personality style and understanding where it fits, because confidence can be great in a lot of job roles. It's great for helping to get promotions and attention and get noticed. It can be very useful in business, but it can also be counterproductive when the expectations that are created don't match reality. So understanding that kind of confident personality style is interesting. It's worth looking at. There's the impulsive personality style, which is about kind of instability of relationships and emotions. So these are people who tend to form really intense, passionate relationships in the short term, but run really hot and cold. So they change their mind. They run hot and cold on people, on situations, on work, on jobs, and they have trouble finding the middle ground. They jump from one extreme to the other. So that tends to create instability in relationships, right? Because if you can't necessarily have consistent, stable relationships or have consistent emotional relationships with other people and how you interact with them, a lot of other people find that really, really difficult and challenging to work with. So there's that impulsive personality style, and then the resourceful personality style, which is related to Machiavellian personality disorder. There's some debate about whether or not to include that as a personality disorder. I think it's really useful to include as a personality style because the focus is on getting stuff done. And a focus on getting stuff done can be useful, but if you have a focus on getting stuff done or accomplishing goals at the expense of other people, other people's goals, of what other people need, what other people want or care about, and if it's that goal-directed behavior without empathy, that's where the problems come in. So there's a kind of tenuous balance there too between getting stuff done at work and getting stuff done at work ethically, compassionately, or caring about the motivations and desires and the respect for other people. So all of these show really interesting patterns in how they are useful or counterproductive at work, how they're ethical or pro-social at work or not, and at what level. That's why it's so important to look at the levels of these personality styles, because if it's really, really extreme, then that's sometimes where the greatest problems or the greatest risks can come in. But at a kind of middle level, it can be useful, especially if people have styles that balance them out and there's oversight and, people have a little bit of a check on their behavior. So they're, using their attributes effectively, but they also have other people saying, okay, don't do that, don't go that far, don't quite go into there because that's going to cause trouble for you and everyone else in this organization or on this team. So when you look at those 4 domains of functioning, those are really interesting in the context of cluster B, right? Because we can see with identity and self-direction, self-directed, goal-directed behavior often involves other people and relationships or attention or respect or fame or notoriety or whatever that is. Often the goals involve other people, which is where that conflict can come in, because if your goals are related to other people, but other people don't want to do what you want to do, or don't want to achieve the same things, or aren't working towards the same goal, then that's when that conflict can come in. And people with cluster B disorders are a lot more likely to dive into that interpersonal conflict than withdraw from it like some other personality styles. So it's interesting to look at it in that respect. And sometimes it's interesting to see how people use other people and that goal-directed behavior to define themselves. That's quite common with some of these cluster B styles too, right? Is people use other people's attention to understand themselves or define themselves. I'm going to talk about that a lot more in the specific personality styles. But when you look at relationships with other people, that's where the problem can come in too, because there's a really, really clear distinction here we can see is whether or not people have empathy and whether or not people have respect for other people. Because you can have goal-directed behaviors that are related to working with other people or accomplishing things that can be more focused on the task than the relationship with people. But if you lack that empathy and you're not capable of seeing what other people want or respecting it, then that's when the serious conflict and more damaging behavior can come in. So empathy is really, really important with this, to seeing if people are going to be proactive, pro-social, or destructive.